Now, at this point, it's going to start getting exciting. What do you want the champion to do? You know, what we're going to do, right? This is really where we're going to go everything. How will we work? In other words, before we start offering the three options in this example, how would that work? Do we have to be able to do that online? How are we going to do it offline? We also may have to review the policies and procedures. The most important thing that what I want you to consider it is, let's do some role playing. Let's do some show and tell. We need to be able to have that review meeting. Maybe we can have a mock presentation where somebody actually proposes the three options along with the scripts, what to say, how to say, when to say it. Maybe do that role playing. Or if you don't want to do some role playing, have like pretty much a simple show and tell. This is how we're going to present it. This is how we're going to show it. By giving this type of content to the people in the room, that really matters. In other words, the salespeople, they're going to be able to ask questions, right? They're going to be able to find out. They can get you some feedback so that you can do some necessary adjustments as the champion. Now, again, you as the champion on this case, you have to be able to move this forward. Take the feedback that you're given, make the adjustments, and then last but not least, it needs to be set. We need to set the launch date because we need to get this thing going. Also, you're gonna have to ask this question, is what you should do for the time frame, right? So the problem is, it really depends. The shorter the time frame to be able to implement from an idea, from that first meeting, that idea, to actually implementing it in the field, it shouldn't take more than a month, okay? And if you can do it in 2 weeks, even better. The more you compress the time, the more people get excited. That's because you're seeing things happen. The worst thing that you can do is to have another review meeting, and then have another review meeting, and then what happens is it's dragged out for 2 to 3 months before anything is happening. If you want to be able to motivate people, right, make things go faster. We want to motivate people. We need to show them. We need to implement this as soon as possible. What I want you to do is make sure that you as a champion should come in and say, listen, this is how it's going to work. You must have these show and tell moments. You must have, where you're doing some role playing. One thing that I always do when I work with a company is that it's not about me teaching them what they need to do. It's actually seeing, can they actually do what they learned, right? Because after the whole training, the person that you train must be able to perform in the field. And sometimes when they're not ready, and the reason because they're not ready is because they weren't properly trained. Think about, a lot of basketball players, football players, baseball players, soccer players, right? They don't just, go out there in the field and start playing. They actually practice. They actually, rehearse the different plays that they're going to actually do, so that it becomes natural for them. And if we just go ahead and give a basketball player, a football player, a drawing and say, all right, this is what you're going to do, right? That's just the plans. We need to see, can they execute in the field? And for us to be able to know they can execute in the field, we need to do some role-playing games with them to make sure that we can actually evaluate what's going on. So that is one of my biggest suggestions. So right now, if you guys already created your plan, had your policies and procedures, created your scripts, I want you to now really take a lot of time and role play every little scenario that can actually happen, all the different objections you're going to face, all the different push-offs that you're going to face, and to be able to have the scripts and be able to use it correctly or adjust it as you go. So before you watch the next video, make sure that you guys start practicing. Now, I'll tell you one thing, to create better success is to always practice, drill, and rehearse. So make sure you guys are doing this. It is even better if you can actually practice, drill, and rehearse every day before your team goes out there in the field. And that's why we do a lot of training videos for our teams, is because we want them to be able to have all the content where they don't need to come to work. They can actually just watch the training videos on their phones, their tablets, or even their laptop.